Jerome, your assignment 2 looks quite good. The only little problem is the center bar doesn't have the exact RGB values as the other two. Now, looking at your transparency example with assignment 3, it works okay. However, rather than just a randomly arranged array of rectangles, it'd be nice to see some sort of plan, some kind of concept that you're trying to put forth here, or even just some order. Now, with the depth design, overlapping is a strong indicator of depth. But here, what we're really looking for is color theory used to promote depth. For instance, dark shapes and shapes that are not saturated will tend to recede. And there's a bit of a conflict here because this black in the foreground down toward the bottom seems to overlap other shapes. That helps to make it seem in front, even though the color itself wants to recede. With vibration, things look okay. The colors you've selected are very close in value. Hi Sharon, you know everything that's meant to match does in your assignment too. I'm taking a look at that center area of overlap, and I am playing with your eggplant color and your cyan, trying to get that color by changing the opacity, and I can't get it. I don't think that's just the color you need there. Now, let's take a look at assignment 3. Well, you know, while there doesn't seem to be an obvious order with the transparency design, I see that all of the leftmost shapes, those horizontal bars, they all line up on the same guide, and the same is true of that vertical band made up of smaller gray rectangles. Looking at the depth design, the color theory is working there. I'm longing for more order in this design, or more of a plan for how it should be perceived by the viewer. In the vibration design, the colors are similar in value, which is good. I noticed that the band of what look almost like letters is nearly in the middle, but not exactly there. Kelly, this assignment number 2 looks okay. Taking a look at assignment 3, I like the system that you've used with your transparency design. The longer I look at it, the more complex I see it is. Beautiful image of curves created with rectangles there in the depth design, which has a color theory that is advantageous to promoting this idea of depth. And in vibration, I like the way you varied the thickness of the green rectangle shapes. And I noticed that while the colors are warm and cool, that they're not exactly the same in value, which is a quality that ought to promote vibration. John, assignment 2 looks quite good. My only question is, could there be more drama in the change between the colors of the areas of overlap? Looking at assignment 3, the first one shows some interesting possibilities. I wonder if this sort of design could be taken further. These might be trials or tests, some ideas you wanted to possibly expand on in one more developed design. And I'd say the same thing about the depth design. It's interesting that each of these is made of same size rectangles, yet clearly shows depth. It'd just be nice to use the entire format completely and create a design that seems to work with that format like the vibration one does. Well, Zach, your assignment 2 looks quite good. When I take a look at assignment 3, I've got some questions. First of all, in transparency, I noticed that with the horizontal bands, some of the colors seem to repeat in the bottom foursome. And why should some repeat and not others? And why should the vertical bands vary in width the way they do? I guess, you know, some sense of order, some sense of purpose in the design is helpful. Now, with depth, I think you've got color theory working here. However, this design is not built of rectangles. We see several trapezoids. And likewise, in vibration, you do have a warm and a cool color. They're saturated. They might not be exactly the same in value, but we don't have a design based upon rectangles. Hi Paulina, it seems as though you're getting better with the color picker here looking at your assignment 2. There are a couple little problems though. First, the leftmost area of yellow. there needs to have the same RGB values as the other areas that don't represent an overlap. And next, the vertical red bar on the right doesn't have the same RGB values as the other two. And last, you want the white background to be 255, 255, 255 in all areas. Now, looking at transparency, this is a lovely idea. I like the transition of cyan to red here. I encourage you to use the grid and guides. Also, in addition to having the spacing between the horizontal bars be even, that vertical bar could be centered. Really like this idea for depth. It's simple and it works well. With vibration, it seems to me that you're lightening the red a little bit to try to get the values for the red and cyan to be similar. Well, hi, Stephen. Things look pretty good with assignment 2. Perhaps there could be more drama with those areas of overlap, right? The one on the left should show the blue bar going over, the one on the right, the red bar going over, and in the middle, an ambiguous situation. This could have been laid out with the help of the grid or guides for more even spacing. Now, looking at assignment 3, transparency shows the effect. However, it's a rather simple composition and a simple approach to using transparency. In addition, you should be using rectangles only. Looking at vibration there toward the right center, we see a couple of colors that are saturated and warm and cool, of course. Vibration has the greatest effect when the colors are similar in value. When I look to the left, we don't have the full effect there because the values are not the same and the colors are desaturated. Now, looking at this depth design, first I ask myself, did you build this yourself? And second, I want to note that it's made of triangles and other shapes that are not all rectangles. Yet we can say that the color theory works here. Rachel, your assignment 2 looks quite good, but the area of overlap on the right, I find that color doesn't seem to be representative of a mix of the two others. I've been doing some tests and I just can't come up with that particular color. Now, looking at your transparency design for assignment 3, wow, that's quite nice. Depth is quite good too. However, notice that there's a black border on the bottom and not on the top. I believe I mentioned this in the drafts review. And then with the vibration design, it is okay. However, if value was constant, I think the vibration effect would be greater. Hi, Travis. Your assignment 2 looks quite good. Looking at assignment 3 first with transparency, well, like with Sharon's, I noticed that while this design looks fairly random, there is a bit of order. All of those maroon bars seem to line up neatly on the left, for example. However, I do find myself longing for some sort of sense of color harmony here, or a more overt kind of order. Now, like with John's, you're experimenting with different ideas with depth. And I do like the way yours is filling the page better. It might be that the design could be controlled a little more. The color theory is working for you here in different ways. Now, with the vibration design, boy, it'd be nice if this was centered, and could it be a little more complex? Your colors are fairly close in value, and there is a warm and a cool. Adam, it appears you favor blues. So this assignment 2 looks good. With assignment 3, like the order that we see in the transparency design, you also have an interesting optical effect going on, where the areas of overlap seem to pop forward. You know, those two slender black bars are overlapped entirely with no sense of transparency, which is a nice contrast. With depth design, it would be nice if the horizontal bands were the same height as the squares of magenta red. With vibration, you know, this is not really what we're looking for. I want you to go back and reread the definition of vibration. The design itself is quite nice.